Oh, hello, Justin. We're live.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. And you? And where are you dialing from?
Good. So I'm here in Dubai. Yeah,
And where are you originally from? You're from Boston, right?
Yeah, Boston, Mass. So I grew up in a small town about an hour west of Boston called
No,
Auburn.
Boston.
Yeah.
Boston is still on my bucket list because I've been to New
Oh,
York, I've been to Washington, but never Boston. Great.
mm,
Thank you so much for participating in my hot seat session where we help businesses and companies all over the globe to address their blind spots, gain competitive edge while fostering a sense of community and go in support of you wonderful mentors. Let's learn a little bit about you and your expertise.
yeah.
So what can you tell us a little bit about you? You know, what you're doing, what you specialize in?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm a business and life coach. And what's unique about me as a coach is I work with people on three primary spheres: business, life, and spirit. And all three spheres really have to be, you know, aligned and, connected to a higher purpose, in order for us to feel, see fulfilled. And my work really at the root of it is really based on the spectrum of being and doing. So as humans, we all fall on the spectrum and we, kind of operate on the spectrum, and with most people, and, where I was, before I went through a huge transformation in life, was my whole identity was so wrapped up and tethered to my doing, and that was my, like, previous business. I was in to graphic design, and my whole identity was so wrapped up and tethered to that, that ultimately I lost sight of, who I really was within, my true calling in life. And that's what the work is really fundamentally about, is, bringing people back to their being, who they are within, what's their true calling, why are they here, in this human existence, and how can they bring that to life through a business.
Yeah, so you mentioned to me that your work is about lifestyle and business design from the inside out. Is that what you're talking about? Or maybe you have something to add.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, on a more pragmatic level, and this was my experience, most people, when they start a business, they create the business from, what we can call the outside in. So what this looks like is they have an idea, for a business. It might be like a consulting company, or it might be, an advertising agency. And oftentimes the idea is informed by what they've always done, in their, like, career or, professional journey, and often they'll start a business, based on the what they're doing. And when we do that, there's a tendency for the business to kind of overtake everything in our lives. The business often, as it grows and expands, will overtake, our lifestyle, and we ultimately feel tethered, to the business. It's like a golden cage almost that we create. And that was my experience, in my old business. But when we create a business from the inside out, it's kind of going the other way. So it first begins with having clarity on who we are within, clarity on what I like to call our North Star. And our North Star is kind of like an amalgamation of our why, our purpose, our state of flow as an entrepreneur. Each of us has a state of flow that we get into. It's kind of like, when they say we're, our zone of genius, when we're working on something and time fades away, that's just state of flow.
As they
Also,
say, it's not really work, right? When you love what
exactly,
you're doing, it's
exactly.
not really work. And you never
Yeah,
get tired of it. And you're
right,
always full of ideas, of enthusiasm. Absolutely.
right. Yeah, and it just flows. And our core values and our passions. So having clarity on those coordinates, those components, is key. And that's ultimately the foundation. And then on top of that is your lifestyle. What type of life do you want to live? Do you want to be location independent? Do you want to work 3 days a week? How do you want your life to look? That's so important to know before you design the business. So then on top of your lifestyle is the business model. So then when you design the container of your business to empower and support the lifestyle you want, driven by your true calling, then you're in alignment. So then within the container of the model, you can design your offers and how you're serving people. So when you design the business from the inside out, it's far more sustainable and so much more aligned with how you want to live, and why you're here.
So talking about your experience in coaching, when you went from being a businessman to a coach, what is the most maybe unusual or unique challenge that you've helped the client or business to overcome?
Yeah. So I can think of two things, one on more kind of like a
Hmm.
personal level and one on more like a business level.
Absolutely. Hmm.
So on the personal level, so one of the clients that I worked with, I worked with him for probably about a year. When we connected, he was in a pretty rough space, he was a really successful guy. He had 2 master's degrees, had an amazing career. But when we started to work together, he wasn't working and he just literally had no idea what he wanted to do, you know? So going through some of my programs that I created, he just got so much clarity, and the first thing was really ultimately finding his why, finding his true calling, why he's here. And one of the things that's fascinating to me, and one of the biggest lessons I learned is that ultimately we're always best positioned to help who we once were. Always. Who we once were is who we're best, that's who we're meant to serve, because our journey in life, all the lessons we've learned, all the challenges we've faced, all the successes we've had, that journey is our lesson. And it's ultimately what we're meant to teach people. So in his case, as in, most people that I work with, we kind of looked at his past, looked at all of the challenges he faced, and, identified, what he's really truly meant to do, who he's meant to serve. And, after our work together, it was really cool because he literally found his dream job in the exact company he wanted. He moved to the exact city he wanted in the exact neighborhood. And it was just like the coolest thing to see this vision that he created and he manifested it. It was really, really awesome.
Wonderful. So that was like a personal case, and you said there's a
Yeah.
business case or something? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the business cases that comes to mind is one of the small business clients that I have. They have a team of about 7 to 8 people. And when we started working together, so I always work with solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. Because that's my journey. I've always been self-employed. So that's who I like to work with best. So I was working with the founder of this company. And it was really interesting because he had a team of really good people, really bright, really, driven, successful, but they just couldn't get out of their own way, and there were a lot of challenges with, dynamics and, who was doing best at what. So what I did with them was there's a really powerful framework that I use to help people, and, leaders find their state of flow. See, because the thing is, when we're at our best and we're most fulfilled when 70% of our time is within that state of flow. In those activities and actions and things that just we're really good at. And when we're not in that state of flow and trying to do things that don't really align with that, we're not fulfilled. And we're not as productive and we're really not as good. So what happened was, his team members, they weren't really leveraging their flow state. So I worked with them to help every team member, find what is their state of flow, what's their profile, and, kind of help them to redesign the team based around that. And, they just were way more productive and happier too, and they knew who to go to for certain challenges and who to ask. for certain questions. So,
Great. This is very nice. So I see you've mentioned business leaders in both cases. Maybe you can tell me about some, common mistakes that they make when they start or manage their business, and most importantly, how it affects their business. Because, they can think, oh, I made a mistake, but how it actually affects their business fundamentally.
yeah. I mean, one of the biggest ones kind of goes back to where we started with, when we, focus too much on the what and not the why. So when we start a business, you're just kind of driven by like a specific service or a specific offering or a specific, skill set. Lots of people do that. They start a business, driven on the doing, but they lose sight of why they're doing it. What's the purpose? I mean, what are you trying, what are you contributing to that's beyond you? What's that higher purpose that you're trying to connect through? What acts of service are you offering through this business to that cause? So that's one of the biggest things, not connecting to a cause beyond us, because it's ultimately not sustainable, at that point when it's just focused on the doing and the what, and, another one is, starting a business without having clarity on what type of life we want to live, and when we don't have that clarity, what often happens is the business overtakes so many things in our lives, and it impacts our personal lives, our wellness, as things grow. So having clarity on the lifestyle we want to live, how we want to show up every day, and then creating the business and designing the business to support and empower that is so important, right out of the gate.
And so the effect is being completely frustrated, and at the end, you're just never successful because you're not doing, what you love. So I
Yeah,
absolutely agree about this.
okay.
And so, as a Greek mentor, as a proud Greek mentor, what strategies or maybe what steps can you advise business leaders to use, to take, to avoid making those mistakes? Maybe some tips, maybe some secrets that you can spill.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd say, it really, ultimately comes down to really having clarity on your why first and foremost. What's that core inner motivation within you that drives you to do everything you do? Like why do you show up every day? What's that cause beyond you that you're so passionate about? That challenge that you're trying to solve, or that you know purpose that you're trying to connect to. Having clarity on that is so important. And and having clarity on what type of life you want to live. How do you want to design your business? Your values, your state of flow. I mean, that's the main advice is, to build it from the foundation up, build your business from the inside out. What you do has to be driven by who you are and who you are. I mean, that's the main thing, and that's the fundamental, aspect of it all, really.
And I think I agree about the aspect of, having a coach by your side, because most of the time we think it's something that we are able to do, but once we start digging inside, it gets really complicated and you need somebody to guide you. And this is exactly what you do, right?
Yeah, and it's really about helping people wake up to who they really are, helping them, wake up to the essence within them, and the connection within them to something beyond them. And that's where all the wisdom is. I mean, we all have all the answers within us. It's just a matter of getting quiet enough to listen to them, and
In this modern world, it's quite
yeah.
complicated to do. We can agree.
Yeah, and just having clarity on and challenging beliefs that we have, because I mean, through our lives, we've created certain structures of beliefs and the way that we perceive the world, that frame every single experience we have, and sometimes we have to have an outside perspective to point those out and to challenge those beliefs and those patterns, and open up to new ideas and possibilities.
Great. Thanks a lot. As we're coming to the end of this session, I'd like to thank you for this enlightening session. I can call it this way. It was really informative, and I'd like to thank you for, sharing your knowledge and your expertise. If our audience enjoyed this conversation as much as I personally did, I highly encourage you to go to Caption and learn how you can work one-on-one with Justin and help you solve this problem that you're having with your business. So again, Justin, thank you so much for being part of our wonderful Gleek Mafia community, and I can't wait to see you again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're always welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye.